Hey guys, it's Paradise, and do you want to get the powers of the Lord of the Frenzied Flame and an awesome weapon that deals great AoE damage? Well, here's a guide on how to find the secret remembrance boss Midra, Lord of the Frenzied Flame. Defeating him will allow you to get the Greatsword of Damnation or the Midra's Flame of Frenzy. So to get here, you will need to be able to access the Abyssal Woods secret area of the map, and here's a super quick recap of how to get here if you haven't got here before, but we do have a full walkthrough of the route to get here on our channel if you need further assistance. The quick version is, you need to make progress to the Shadow Keep area of the map, and the best area to start from will be the main gate, Site of Grace. Head left and follow the path up the stairs and through the building until you find this ladder to go down and around, where you will see a room with a picture. There'll be an illusionary wall that you can hit and go through, and then progress until you jump in the coffin. Next, you need to head to the cliffside, where you'll see some parkour until you arrive at the Recluse's River downstream Site of Grace. Keep going down using the platforms until you find the Darklight Catacombs. Go through the Darklight Catacombs and you'll be able to get to the Abyssal Woods after fighting the boss of this dungeon. Now that you have the Woodland Trail Site of Grace, we need to get to this location on the map, which is Midra's Manse, where the boss will be. There'll be some tricky things to deal with along the way, such as frenzied rats, enemies that will inflict madness on you that you can't hit with normal weapons, and others that will shoot a ton of holy beams at you. So if you have any talismans, spells, or armor that are related to sneaking, I recommend you put them on to get past the enemies easier. Here's the route to follow. So what you want to do is head to the west and drop down and immediately crouch and try to sneak past. This will be the easiest way to get past these types of enemies. They are insane if they actually aggro you, and if they do aggro you, you just need to run. If you touch those flowers, you'll see they come rushing towards it, so they're kind of designed to be sneaked around because they're so annoying to deal with. So once you get a sort of wide enough berth, start running away until you come up on the next section with even more enemies. Keep following this sort of open route down to the west, and again, this whole area is full of enemies. I just recommend running. If you get aggroed, start full speed running. You're going to come up on this area with these bushes and even more enemies. What you want to do is time your sort of runs around them, but as you will see here, what can happen is they might just aggro you anyway. As soon as that madness starts building up, if you do get aggroed and you hear the sort of screech, immediately run away. They are just not worth dealing with, especially if you just want to get to the actual boss location and get the awesome weapon. So as you can see here, we basically get hit a couple times, but we just keep running and ultimately we're fine. You can fight them if you want to, that's totally up to you, but you want to head sort of southwest, just like we are, until you get to this rocky area where you can climb up the hill over to the east, as you can see. Keep on going, there'll be some more enemies up ahead, drop down, and get ready. We're going to basically give these enemies a wide berth and run around them as we go towards our marker that you can see, which is to the south. We've actually just come up to the boss area, this giant building, and there'll be a sort of line of these very ominous looking bird enemies. If you run around them like we do, you can actually just avoid them, and you want to go to the front door, which is just over here, and open up that front door, which will reveal the first Site of Grace for us, and there'll be several Site of Graces that we need to get to as we go through this area. So run up, activate the Site of Grace, use it if you need to get your potions back as well. So then what we want to do is go over to the east and attack this painting, revealing a hidden wall. Run forwards, an enemy will spawn, dodge him as best you can, loop around into the next room. Here there'll be a bunch of shadow enemies and you want to go through the door to the left, then loop back around to the right through this section and pull the lever. This lever will actually move a bookcase, as you can see, so run around the back of that bookcase and head up the ladder. When you get up this ladder, there'll be a shiny that you can pick up. It's just a rune, so if you want that, grab it. Otherwise, head west and to the right, where you'll see another ladder that we also want to climb up. Head all the way up here and across the sort of beams on this roof section, all the way down to the other side where you can actually see a new grace point, which again is a fantastic checkpoint because we have even more that we need to go through this area. It's pretty crazy. Once you've done that, roll off onto the ground floor, turn around in this room, attack the painting on the south to reveal another hidden wall, run through and come up to this ladder. Climb all the way to the top of the ladder, and don't worry, we're almost there now. Pull the lever and then drop down to the platform below and drop down again where the bookcase will move from that lever we just pulled. Pick up the shiny if you want it and head through the door that was revealed from pulling the lever. Follow the stairs up, beam past these enemies. You can fight them, but you don't need to, so just run if you want to speed it up. Watch out for their attacks, they are pretty strong, and activate the next Sight of Grace. Remember, you can use the Sight of Grace if you need to despawn the enemies chasing you, and just here will be the boss. Now that we're in the boss room, you need to walk in and take down the enemy in front of you. Make sure you don't get grabbed, as this is only the first part of the fight and you will need to defeat them, which will give you a cutscene to start the real fight. This boss doesn't have a massive health pool, so shouldn't be too difficult, but there are a few attacks that you want to look out for, and the main thing you want to avoid is when it gets to around 50% health, he will charge up in the air and dive bomb you, and you will basically want to run away from this or iframe dodge roll it, just wait for him to hit the floor and then roll. It is a super fun fight overall once you get the hang of his attack patterns, so give it a few goes with your best build, but he does seem to be very fire resistant, however bleed seems to work very well on him. Once you've defeated him though, you will get his remembrance, which is the remembrance of the Lord of Frenzied Flame. You can trade this to Enya in the Round Table Hold for the Greatsword of Damnation and Midra's Flame of Frenzy. The Greatsword of Damnation is actually really cool and kind of reminds us of the Dragon King's Cragblade. It deals a ton of damage and a ton of poise damage with the weapon skill. The weapon skill is Golden Crux, and its description says you leap up and skewer a foe from overhead. If successful, the weapon's barbs unfold and excruciate from within, else additional inputs are required to release barbs in the area. They say there's something of the Golden Order in the sight of those fixed upon this crux. We've actually tested this out ourselves and we really love it. The fact that this does 2 hits of massive damage and can juggle enemies into the air makes it an awesome option to try out. The weapon is mostly strength scaling with strength D, dex E and faith D, and the requirements are 20 strength, 15 dex and 20 faith. In PvP against certain targets, the sword's skill is actually able to skewer opponents with this really unique animation. Now, I'm not a PvP sweat, but we hear this is being used a lot at the moment, so it could be a very great pickup if you're into your player versus player. Meanwhile, if you redeemed the Midra's Flame of Frenzy, it's an incantation that summons the head of the Lord of Frenzy Flame to spew out madness, and it has a requirement of 41 faith. It's a little hard to use because it spews out the madness everywhere, so you need a lot of luck in hitting your target, but visually it's an amazing incantation. The animation for it is basically praising the sun, so if you want to meme on people, this one is a good pickup. To be honest, after having tested both of these, we would recommend picking up the sword instead of the incantation if you're only going to go for one. However, you can use the Midra's Flame to inflict madness on yourself, which people are then combining with the Aged One's Talisman for extra damage buffs, so bear this in mind. All in all though, the fight is awesome, the Greatsword is awesome, and the incant looks really cool, so it's definitely worth giving this a go. Drop a like if we've helped you out and comment to let us know, otherwise subscribe because we have loads more Elden Ring coming your way very soon.